How's it going, everyone? It's Ben Falcon's Media Corner back again with a brand new video for today. Welcome back to the movie review, aka After I Saw review video for today. For this new aka After I Saw review video for today, this is going to be my review on a film that came out this year for 2022, which this movie recently just dropped by today on Netflix. But I didn't see this movie on release day on Netflix because, while this movie, like I said, despite it was released on Netflix today, this movie was also released just last month, just for 1 week in cinemas. And I did see this movie last month in cinemas when it was playing just for 1 week. And I went to see this movie on opening day. And since there's been a lot of reviews about this movie, I feel like I should get this video done and uploaded. So here we go. Today's review is going to be my review on the 2022 mystery film, and this is the sequel to the 2019 film, and that is Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery. Now, this is the sequel to the 2019 film, Knives Out, and this was written and directed by Rian Johnson, once again, who made the first movie, and has Daniel Craig reprising his role as Master Detective Benoit Blanc, which in this sequel, he travels to this island in Greece with a bunch of new characters in the film, which you've got a entirely new cast in this movie, such as Janelle, Monáe, Kathryn, Hahn, Leslie Odom Jr., Jessica Henwick, Madelyn, Cline, Hudson, and Baustista, in which all these characters travel to this island in Greece, where there's this huge mansion area of sorts called the Glass Onion, which is run by this tech billionaire named Miles Braun, played by Edward Norton, which he basically invited his friends to basically have a getaway there. And while these characters are having a getaway, he's also set up this game, which is basically a murder mystery game, which, of course, in the game, someone ends up murdered, and it's basically up to someone to basically find out who is the real culprit behind the murder. But what ends up happening to the game is that the game suddenly turns real once someone on the island turns up dead. And it's basically up to Detective Blanc to basically solve the mystery once again. So that's pretty much the story of Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery. Now, I was really looking forward to this movie. This was one of my most anticipated movies for this year. And when it comes to the original film, Knives Out, which came out back in 2019, I went to see that when it first came out in cinemas, and I had a lot of fun with the movie. I thought it was generally fantastic and yet very smart for a whodunit film. And I even rewatched the film for in preparation for this, and my opinion for that film still holds up to this day. And I liked what Rian Johnson did for that genre, because he made his own thing here, where he just generally made a whodunit that isn't based off a book, like from an Agatha Christie book or anything like that. He just made his own whodunit that's set in today's modern time, and having a mixture of different types of genres, where it has thrills and humor. And for what he did for that film, I thought he did a really smart move for that genre. And when I heard there was going to be a sequel to this, I was genuinely really excited to see what the sequel was going for. And I was glad to see that he was coming back to make this movie, as well as for Daniel Craig returning as Benoit Blanc, because for that character in the first film, he was one of my favorite characters in that film. And for Daniel Craig's performance in that film, it was genuinely really entertaining, and it's definitely one of his best roles outside of playing James Bond, which, you know, as of now, he's now retired from playing James Bond. So it was great to see him come back. But we're also really excited, maybe the most as well, for the sequel. Not only just the director and Daniel Craig returning for this movie, was the new cast in this film. You've got Edward Norton, Leslie Odom Jr., Jessica Henwick, Kathryn Hahn, Madelyn, Cline, Janelle Monáe, Hudson, and Baustista. I was really looking forward to seeing what all these were going to do for the sequel. And once the trailers dropped by, of course, I was genuinely very excited for this movie. And like I said, this movie is released today on Netflix. It's just recently dropped by today on Netflix, but I didn't watch this on Netflix at home. I actually saw this last month, because for last month it was actually playing in cinemas just for 1 week. And so I went to see this the exact same way when this movie was playing. So I went to see this on opening day in my area, and for my screening, it was completely full house. There was a lot of people for my screening. And after watching this whole sequel, I gotta say, this sequel managed to not disappoint me here, because I genuinely had a lot of fun with this movie, just like the first one here, you guys, because I thought this movie was awesome from beginning to end. What I really liked in the sequel is that this film has so many layers in the film, given the fact this film is called Glass Onion. And the real reason why it's called that is not just because there's this home mansion area thing on this island and it's called Glass Onion. No, the real reason why it's called that is because it shows different perspectives on different characters who are in the sequel, which some of them do have important parts of the film, or some of them are just basically there to provide comic relief. But I really dug every single one of these layers while I was watching the sequel, because I found myself really invested for each and different one of them along the way, and also be really entertaining them as well. And the storytelling for this film from Rian Johnson, it's very well creative, very unique, and very well investing to watch, while also being entertaining at the same time. And in this sequel, it isn't just like it's this sequel is just it's not basically like remaking the first film, where it basically had some questions that were in the first film, which some of them may be unanswered, and say it's like saying there are some questions in the first film that didn't get answered, and let's just take them and be put into the sequel. It's not like that, because this film is going for something new here, even though it is a whodunit film. It's basically set in a different area, has different characters, and has different twists and turns and all that. And what Rian Johnson did with the sequel, I thought he did a fantastic job of making something totally different. That's just from this new franchise he's making, and it's luckily not trying to be like the exact same. It's just not trying to be like the first film all over again, because like I said, this film has something totally different from the first film and all that. And I also liked how this film managed to have different types of genre blends in the film, where it has thrills and humor, which that's what the first film was well known for. Because I liked what Rian Johnson did with the first film, where he basically made his own whodunit that's not based off a book or anything like that. Because he made his own whodunit that's basically set in today's modern time, and it has thrills and humor and all that. And for what he did for the first film, I thought he really kicked it out of the park. And for what he did for the second time around here with the sequel, I thought he kicked it out of the park once again. And the direction by Rian Johnson, it's a well shot film. There's some great shots in the film, and there are even some lighting effects in the film, which there isn't a whole lot of them, but they're mostly kind of used for when it gets to its thrilling moments, which those moments were very well directed by Rian Johnson. And when it comes to its comedic roots, it's just very well directed. Basically, how the audience is having an entertaining time with this one, while also being invested at the same time, since this is a whodunit film. And the performances in the film, Daniel Craig, once again, as Ben Uplong, is fantastic in the film for being really over the top and just really funny throughout. And ever since I've seen this character in the first film, I can definitely say that for what Daniel Craig was given for what Daniel Craig did for that character, I can definitely say it's definitely his best performance outside of playing James Bond, even though he's now retired as James Bond. But for playing someone else outside James Bond, like I said, this is easily gotta be Daniel Craig's best role outside of playing James Bond, because like I said, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this before from Daniel Craig, because I just mostly know him as James Bond. But for playing someone else outside James Bond, like I said, he's just fantastic in the film. He's just very funny here, you guys. And for the new people in this film, like I said, you've got Edward Norton, where he plays this tech billionaire. He was fantastic in the film. He was also really funny as well. Janelle Monáe, she was fantastic in the film, and I liked what he was given for her character, because she plays an important part of the film. And I liked how she gets more interesting while the film keeps going on and all that, which I thought Rian Johnson did a fantastic job with this character and all that. And again, Janelle Monáe's acting is just top-notch, fantastic. And as for everyone else in the film, like I said, you've got Kathryn, Hahn, Leslie Odom Jr., Jessica Henwick, Madelyn, Cline, Hudson, and Baustista. They were also fantastic in the film, and they were very funny as well. And the only nitpick I only have with this movie is that well, this film is a bit longer than the first film, because this is 2 hours and 19 minutes. The first film's 2 hours and 19 minutes. I kind of wish the runtime for this film could have been the exact same as the first. Just could have shaved 9 minutes off, and just could have been the exact same runtime as the first film, though. But in the end, guys, Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery, this sequel managed to not disappoint me. It gave me everything what I expect for a Knives Out sequel. It's a well-shot film. It's very funny. It's very entertaining. It has really fun and fantastic performances, and I liked how this film has something new here, and it luckily manages not to be the exact same as exactly like the first film all over again. Because, you know, for when it comes to Rian Johnson's writing talent for his films, I think he's a very unique creative writer. And for when it comes to these kind of films, I can definitely say he's going to be well known for these kind of films over the next few years. And speaking of which, we are going to get a third film, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do for the third film whenever we're going to know. Since I can tell that, because from what I've heard, that Netflix is also going to make a third film, so I'm looking forward to seeing what Netflix is going to do with the third film in the future. So yeah, like I said, overall, just Glass Onion, Knives Out Mystery, this film was indeed fantastic, and I can definitely say this is definitely one of my favorites this year as well. So that's pretty much all to say about this movie. I'm going to give Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery 4.5 out of 5. Like I said, this sequel managed to not disappoint me. It gave me exactly everything I expected for a Knives Out sequel. And despite having one little flaw with this, I still managed to have a fantastic yet entertaining time with this one. And like I said, this is definitely another one of my favorites of 2022 here, you guys. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching for my AK After I Saw review on Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery. And let me know what you think of the sequel. If you just recently checked out this film, if you've already seen it, did you have a blast with this, or you're very disappointed with this? And if you missed a chance to see this in cinemas that was playing for 1 week, like I said, it is streaming on Netflix entirely for free. So yeah, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and this has been Falcon's Media Corner signing off.